Morning and welcome to another episode of the Bea and Rose podcast, which is brought to you from my sewing shack, which is basically a shed at the top of the garden where I live and work. No, I don't live in the shed. The garden is next to the house that I live in Durham in the northeast of England, and I live there with my husband Mark and our 3 girls, a yappy little dog and a 3-legged cat. And yeah, my sewing shack's at the top of the garden, and it's where I work, and it's where I do things like this, and I can have the ironing board up like a perma board, so I never have to faff on taking it up and down, and the sewing machines can be left out, and it's just fantastic. So if you've been here before, then I'm very honoured that you've come back. Thank you. It's nice to kind of see you, or to have some interaction afterwards anyway. And if you've never been here before, thank you for stopping by. I'm thrilled to bits. You can find me all over the internet. I'm on Raverly Sylviebea, which is Sylviebea. I'm on Instagram as Bea and Rose, BEA_and_Rose. Same on Etsy as well, and then Facebook is just Bea and Rose, BEA and Rose. I'm glad I can spell it. So if you're wondering why I'm filming this in a shed at the top of my garden, basically it's because we live in a 3-bedroom semi-detached 1960s house, which is tiny. 5 humans, 2 animals, and a massive cactus plant. I mean, that I haven't really got the space to shift stuff around all of the time, and if I do want a podcast from in there, I've got to literally rearrange all of the furniture and the shelves because I don't like them to look really tatty. I like to have me wool on. So yeah, I think the shed's a better bet. And I've got this shed because 8 years ago I started to make baby slings, custom made baby slings, and I was working from the dining room in the house, in the tiny house, and the place was just an absolute tip. So I managed to move upstairs to one of the bedrooms because although we had 3 girls, 2 of them slept in my bed. We were a co-sleeping family, and it was great because I had a free bedroom. But now that they're bigger, 2 girls share, and then Bea's got her own room, so I've been kind of displaced. So we've just bought a really normal garden shed. I don't know if it's 10 by 10 or 12 by 12, and I'll never figure it out, and I'm not going to measure it. Anyway, it's big enough, and it's like a square. Stuck it up in the garden, all great, painted it, then insulated it with wool. Haha, thanks sheep. And then put some kind of hardwood chipboard type stuff on the top, nailed it in, and then we got an electrician to come to wire it up. I was quite shocked though that what he did, fair enough, he's put like, it's a crafter's dream because I've got 20 million plug holes, but all he essentially did was to wire an extension lead into the dining room, drill a gripping hole in the wall, and then put this massive wire up the garden that comes into the shed. I thought it would be more hole diggy technical than that. I don't know why, but yeah, it works, so whatever. And it was really cheap for him to do that, so I shouldn't complain, should I? So I still work in here. I don't make as many baby carriers as I did. The market's changed considerably, but I still couldn't do it in the house. I've got a huge big heavy Janome sewing machine, which is like virtually, it's semi-industrial if there is such a thing. I once said that in a shop that sold industrial sewing machines, and you just like looked at me as if I'd called him a vile name. So obviously the professionals don't believe that there's such a thing as a semi-industrial, but it weighs more than my children, so I can't have it in the house really. And I've got a proper industrial sewing machine as well. Yeah, so everything's here, everything's together. My knitting is in the house, but all of my spinning fibre, drum carder, blending board, things like that are all in the shed, so I know where things are. Otherwise I'd never be able to find anything. It would just be crazy. So yes, that's why I'm in a shed at the top of the garden. And if you've ever thought about shed working, it's got its pros, it's got its cons. Everything's together, like I've said. I can basically use pins to stick pattern pieces to the walls. I don't have to worry about it. If I want to get ridiculous, I can stick bits of paint back over it. I can put blue tack on the wall and not have to worry about it. I can just release my inner wall sticking child. I can be in here and make a noise and it's fine. I'm sure the neighbours can hear me singing, but they never have complained yet. It's warm with a radiator. It loses heat quickly, but it's fine. It's easy to heat. The cons of it are, if you need a wee, you've still got to go in the house unless you have some kind of weird and wonderful system rigged up. I'm sure that for every conversation you have, there is a she-wee in the answer somewhere, but that could get a bit minging. And if it's snowing, I've still got to go in the house and it gets a bit slippy. So our garden's on a hill. And the other cons would be that it's very isolating and it can be lonely. And I would recommend that if you're going to buy a shed in your garden, find one that's got the biggest windows you can possibly buy. Now I thought that having windows would make this really cold and I'd lose loads of heat. It makes no difference unless you insulate every bit of it, and I haven't. The ceiling in here isn't insulated because I need good airflow. I don't want things to get damp. I don't want things to rot. And it's fine. If I put the heating on the anti-frost setting overnight, it's great for the sewing machines. I can't have these freeze up, otherwise they'd go rusty and just be destroyed. But yeah, it's great. And I suppose if you're used to working in the house on your own, then it's not that much difference really. Every now and again, even if I am working on a project that I have to do by myself, I like to do it in the house just so I can look out the window and have a different view. But then, you know, in the springtime it's lovely because I can have the door open and listen to the birds tweeting in the trees. And I like it when Mark and the kids are home because they pop up and he brings me loads of coffee, which in turn leads to toilet time. And that means that I see them as well. Too much information? It's not, is it really? We all do it, ladies. You know I'm telling the truth. I had these kind of romantic fantasies about having a little wood burner in the corner, but then I realised the practicality of a wood burner in a very small shed that contains lots of flammable materials. And yeah, I didn't need to be persuaded out of that one. Common sense prevailed. I have thought about doing sewing lessons or knitting lessons from in my shed, but I don't like the thought of having to use my own home as well. If it all comes back to the toilet, I'm sorry, but if anybody needed to go to the loo, it means that my whole house would have to be really tidy, and sometimes I just don't want to do that. So I don't know if that would work really. I'd have to have an hour or a half an hour per lesson. I'd have to say, go to the loo before you come. No, you can't use my facilities, and that would be really rude and kind of bizarre. So yeah, that's off the agenda. So today I'm going to talk about knitting, works in progress to finish objects, of which there are none, and plans that I've got, with which there are plenty. I'm quite excited about stuff that I'm planning to put on the needles. I'm going to talk about sewing. I've got quite a few patterns to show you and a few ideas I've gotten. As you can see, I've got my usual top back on again. I'm back in my comfort zone. So I'll talk about, oh, I've got a finished object. It's on my neck, but it's not really finished because it kind of went wrong. I'll tell you in a minute anyway. And then sewing, a little bit of spinning. I've been doing some spinning, and then just some general chatter about stuff that's been going on. So I hope you can stay awake and that I don't comatose you, and that you've got lots of nice knitting to do to keep you on the ball. So here goes. You can see behind me, I've got like an army of mannequins, which might be a bit spooky. That's another thing about working in the shed. When it gets really dark outside, I don't believe in ghosts, but I still get really frightened. I don't know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's quite dark in the garden and we haven't got an outside light. So yeah, I hope there's no naughty criminals watching this. Behave yourselves if you are. I went to the hospital yesterday and there were 2 people there in chains. I've never seen that before. There you go, every day's a school day. Back to the knitting. So I've got Tegna, which you've already seen, and that is actually finished, but I had finished that last week, and that's on Diana, my mannequin called Diana, with the scarf that I did a test knit for Jem Arrowsmith Knits for. It's like intarsia in 2 pieces. Don't think I'll ever do that again. And the Boylan Knitworks Sunset Highway. It's like a homage to a bit of Boylan over there, isn't it? Which is nearly done. I've only got the sleeves to do and I'm kind of halfway through this sleeve. But what I have done, I'll see if I can get it a bit closer without it falling off the table. Come here, love. Have a little cuddle. That's not freaky at all, is it? Right. I can't really get it any closer. So what I've done, I've started knitting the sleeves and I've decided not to put any colour work on the sleeves because I haven't got much of the purple left. And with my frame of mind right now, I need something that I can work on that's mindless and that's going to be finished without it taking forever and without having to frog it back all of the time. And also, in this yarn, my colourwork tension is still a little bit off, so I'm just going to knit the sleeves, going to do them long, which is something I don't normally do, so that's enough of a challenge in itself. And I think it's still going to be fabulous. The sleeves kind of are tapered right at the very bottom, and then it has a long section of 3x1 rib, so I think they'll be very attractive even without the colour work. And if I do the jumper again, and I have loved knitting it, so I might do that actually, then I will do the colour work on the sleeves. But I've loved every minute of knitting it. It just feels so good. I'll show you what else I'm doing at the minute. It's a really quite heavyweight sweater knitted on 4.5 needles, where this is on much smaller needles and the yarn's 4-ply or fingering weight, so it's much lighter. And the difference, it's lovely to come back to do this after working on something heavier, because it just kind of knits itself. It's really lovely, I love it. And I've managed to do most of the stockinette in continental style knitting as well, which means that my arms and my hands have had a bit of a rest. So it's great, but I just love it. I can't wait to finish it and take some proper photographs to show you. The short rows around the neck went a little bit skew with, so I've got little holes where I had to pick up the wraps from knitting short rows. But that's fine. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect, does it? I'm sure when I wash it and block it, it'll fluff up a little bit. It's super wash merino, so it won't fluff up too much, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And if not, if it's a worry, I can just stick a stitch in. It's not like I'm making it for the queen. It doesn't have to be this perfect piece of artistic genius. It's just got to be what it is. So there you go. If everything had to be perfect, I don't think I'd ever get anything done, and I'd lose my knit job pretty quickly. So I'm just scratching my leg. Can you hear that? Classy or what? So yes, it's nearly done. It's not perfect, but it is perfect in its imperfection, and I'm very happy with that. And I love the colour work, and I love to do another one. And I think, excuse me, having a Theresa May moment. So anybody couldn't give me a cough sweet? No, I didn't think so. She should count herself lucky, shouldn't she, instead of complaining. Yeah. If I was going to do it again, I think I'd like to do one in black, white and brown. And I might do some stitches down the front and stick it into a cardigan. Because, yeah, just to do something different, that's all. What's the point in the same thing twice when there are millions of beautiful patterns out there? I ask you. So yeah, that's how I've gone on with that anyway. So it's nearly done, and hopefully I'll have it finished by next week. I've still got a sore shoulder, but I've been following what Catherine said 2 episodes ago about the somatic movement, and I've been doing my ups and my downs, trying to keep things kind of fluid and stress-free. But I think with already having a pre-existing injury, that probably needs to get better, but I can see that that's not going to happen because I just need to knit at the minute, as well as other things. Knitting has to occur. So yes, that's that one anyway. Da-da-da. Oh, can I get my hands coordinated? It's really tricky. Tegna, Bun and Knitwork Sunset Highway. 1 finished, 1 nearly finished. I've just got to get them on children, which will be the next challenge. I'll try and take some photographs of them. Maybe I'll cut the heads off on the photographs so that it looks like an adult's wearing it, so that you don't think, oh, she's only knitting for the kids, because I'm not really. They're kind of adult sizes. I've done, Tegna was medium. I think this one is as well, because my children are like real human-sized children. I don't produce dinky little humans, apart from Annabelle, who's tiny. The other 2 are just kind of women-sized and shaped. So much for childhood, eh? There you go. So apart from those 2, what I have been working on is not this. I'll show you again anyway, because it's the first bag I've come to. This is the flax that I started for Mark last week. I've done absolutely bottle. It does kind of blow it out a bit, that lamp, but I think you can see the colour. I still love it though, and it's lovely and soft. But I'm going to do a bit more on this coming week. I'd love to have it finished for his birthday, and to be honest, it's knitting up so quickly that I wouldn't be surprised. His birthday is the 30th of October. But it depends. I feel like I've got kind of limited knitting hours just because of shoulder pain and neck pain, and I don't want to push it too much. I would hate to be in a situation where I can't do anything because I've done too much of something that isn't my favourite thing. My favourite thing at the minute being colour work. So yeah, anyway, it's there. The bag that I did mean to get before, I shall grab now. I keep doing that stupid accent thing again, don't I? Right, so this this cough, I believe, is related to this item, and I'll tell you why in a minute. It is from the latest edition of Laine magazine, and it's a Lopi sweater. I ordered the yarn, get it off the back of my chair. Right, I ordered the yarn from Wool Warehouse, and it came the day after I placed the order, and I just love their delivery. It's so fast. In this cute little organza bag. So I've got a bag to keep it in, which is smashing. I'm using my own project bag, which this is Aenin the Plains, A-E-N-I-N Plains, and it was named by a little girl in Scotland because she can't say aeroplane, or she couldn't at the time, she's a lot older now. She said Ain instead of aeroplane, so she got to name this. This was originally designed as a baby wrap, and her mum's a baby wearer and she's fabulous. So yeah, I got lots of this. I don't know how you say it, let Lopi, probably not, but there you go. And I got heather red. I got the other colours which were used in the pattern in the book. I got heather black, I think it's called heather black, so heather black, heather red, and these two, which are pretty similar but not exactly the same, and you can see that they're different when they're knitted up, particularly if you half close your eyes. We did that at college. If you wanted to see the different tones in the colours, rather than taking a black and white photograph, you would half close your eyes and look at it, and you can see if there are strong enough tonal differences to give you a bit of contrast. So here we go, this is it. And what I've done, I've probably completely ballsed it up, but what I've done is I've knitted, I think this is the medium size, and I've put stitches down the front here. I don't know if you can see. I've added 7 stitches here, or 9, I'm going to stick it. So I've just done the neckline now, it's dictated by the pattern. I don't know if I should have done rib or if it's right to leave it like that, I'm really not sure. And then I've started with the additional stitches in the middle, so when I'm finished knitting the sweater, I'm going to do 2 lines of crochet, and then I'm going to knit on the button bands, and then I'm going to stick it. And I've done 7 stitches in the middle, so I've done 1 purl, no, I've done 9, have I? Anyway, whatever. I've done 1 purl, either 5 or 7 stockinette, and then another purl. And I've used, you can see better on this bit here at the bottom, I've kind of, the stitches have come off my needle. I've used both colours across the Steeking stitches. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. And I don't know, I feel like maybe I should have spent ages on YouTube before I actually started, before I put the Steeking stitches in, but then I thought, well, can it really be that hard? Can it be that difficult when it's just something that's been done forever? And I don't think it will be. So if it drops apart, then you can, like, I don't think it will. Obviously the Steeking isn't going to kill it. It's just the way that I've done those stitches up the front. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to manage them. But the way that I see it is I'm knitting the garment, and that's the next step. I don't really need to worry about it right now, do I? And I do love the way that when you do the crochet up the edges before you do your steek, you don't have as many ends to sew in because it catches in loads of ends. Ha 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 ha. Who would ever knit flat? Knitting the round and cut it so you don't have to sew any ends in. Yeah, and there's the back, which is lovely. The short row shaping I made a bit of a hash of, but you can't tell. The back's still longer than the front, so as far as I'm concerned it's worked out really nicely. However, this yarn, look at the fuzz on that. Can you see? It's fantastic. You know, when you see pictures of sheep and they look really rough, like they've had like they've got like a proper hangover, and they just haven't bothered brushing their hair, it just makes me think of those sheep that stand on rocks all day in the cold. Oh, and another thing as well, when I put the stitches in for the steek, I wasn't really careful enough with my counting. As I think I've said before, I do have counting issues. So I've got kind of, that pattern isn't the same as that side as it is at that side, but I'll know for next time. And again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. Imperfection is perfection. It's a handmade garment and it's lovely. You know, there's indiscrepancies with tension throughout the knitting, but I think that this is going to block beautifully. When you, I think it's going to go from kind of doom in terms of the dodgy tension to bloom, and that everything's just going to fluff up and it'll be lovely. So I hope it softens as well. That's another reason why I decided to put the steek in the front. I thought if I made it purely as a jumper, she just won't have it next to her skin. I couldn't wear that next to my face. But I think if I make it as a cardigan, she can always have something long sleeved underneath it. And if it's big enough, I could even get some lightweight fleece and just line the sleeves and the cuffs so it doesn't touch it. But I was watching Arnie and Carlos and they were talking about if you have really soft wool like merino, it's perfect, but it will pill. If you have really harsh wool like the Icelandic or Norwegian wools, which are 100% wool, they don't pill, but you have a bit of scratch. However, they did say how surprising this is and how much it softens when it's washed and when it's worn, and I totally believe that. I mean, if you've ever seen a fabric that has linen in it that comes freshly off the loom, it is horrible. It's like cardboard. I once had to work with a wrap, and it was something like 50% linen, maybe a higher percentage, and touching it just made me cringe. It was like nails going down a blackboard. It felt horrible. But then I got the same wrap a couple of weeks later that had been used lots. A wrap is just a length of fabric. It had been used a lot and it had been washed and people had really worked to soften it up, and it was amazing. It was like butter. It was just lovely and so strong and really, really worth it. And I think this is just going to last forever. So I'd be gutted if she won't wear it. I'm going to probably have to line it with chocolate as bribery just to get it on her. But I think it's just going to be so warm and cosy. And I've done a bit of colour work around the bottom as well. I held it up against it. I haven't measured her because I can never find a tape measure. Come on. A sewist and a knitter who can find a tape measure? Show me one. I don't know anybody organised enough apart from Michelle. Anyway, she doesn't watch this so I can say anything I want really. Yeah, so I think I'll stand a better chance of getting it on her. Yeah, so that's the bottom and I think it'll look lovely. I haven't bought any buttons yet. I nearly bought some buttons at our local shop, which is called something. I'm there all the time. I can't remember its name. Dainty Supplies. Used to be Dainty Toys in the early 90s and 80s when everybody was making those Poirot dolls with a tear on. Freaky. My mother made them for somebody. She got paid like 3p a doll. And then they were sold for hundreds of pounds. Anyway, yeah. What was I on about? Oh yeah, I picked up some buttons and it was going to be like £4 for 7 buttons, and I thought, no, it's for my child. That's not the way forward. And I just fancy getting something really pretty. And I think this is quite serious and that it's very beautiful and it's constructed and it's colourwork and it's gorgeous, but it's still like it would suit an adult as well as a child. So I think what I want to do is buy some fun buttons. So she's got a serious cardigan with her fun buttons. So everybody likes a fun button. So I don't know, maybe something with a penguin on. And I also thought that the colours would make it nice for Christmas as well. But wouldn't it be lovely in a dark green? I wonder if it would be nice in a blend, if that would make it softer. Right, so with the cough, I think I'm allergic to it. Now, I know that I am allergic to sheep. When I was a child, I did have an allergy test, and this was in the days where they just basically lined your arms with like allergy juice and then stuck pins in it to see what would happen to you. The Lopi jumper that I'm knitting, I think I showed you last week, but I'll show you again, is the Tri-Star from this quarter's Laine magazine, and it's just lovely in here. It's so lovely. You can see on their photograph, can you see the hair on the yarn? Wool, probably wool, not hair. There you go. So that's it anyway. And it's smashing. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it. If you think, I just did a podcast last week and the yarn hadn't even arrived. And now I'm up to the sleeves. I have done a lot, but I've done other things as well. It's not like I've only done that. Yeah, it's great. I'm really pleased with it. It's along, if I can rule out the allergy, because I don't want to not be able to breathe for the sake of making a jumper. It's not worth having like a cardiac arrest, is it really? Just so I can knit with a particular breed of sheep. If I can rule out being allergic to it, then I'll keep going. I'm hoping I've just got a cold because I have had several antihistamines. So the number on my recording thing's just gone red and I don't know why. It keeps switching. Yeah, it keeps switching itself off. I don't know why, and I'm not going to read the instructions, so it'll just keep switching itself off. Anyway. Cheers. I can't remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, so I've got this cough which won't leave me alone. My chest's really tight. And yeah, so when I was a kid I had an allergy test and I was allergic to sheep. But I'm baffled because I can spin Shetland, Merino, Romney, Polworth. I've spun it all and I haven't been allergic to it. But I don't know if I've spent as much time with it as I've spent with this. And maybe because this is pre-spun, when it's in the ball, maybe the dust and the fibres are kind of trapped. So as I'm spinning it, so as I'm knitting it, and it knits pretty quickly, so maybe the fibres are kind of flying off and going into my chest and give me aggravation. I don't know, but I'd love that when you buy this and it comes from Iceland. Hang on, let's have a look. Yeah, let's have a look. Made in Iceland. Oh, I love the label. I hate throwing the labels away because I really like them, which is ridiculous. 4 to 5mm needles, hand wash 30 degrees C, cool iron. Okay, you're the boss, I'll listen to you. I've forgotten what I was on about again. Brr. Yeah, so maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I'll be gutted if I am allergic to it. I suppose I'll know. Didn't knit it yesterday. Haven't done anything on it today, although I've been chucking it about a bit. But yeah, I love it when you get it, this Icelandic wool, and you're working and you feel a little bit of vegetable matter, like what you do when you're spinning, something that's rough spun, and it's just a single ply. It's not even a high twist, so it's impossible to cast it on using the thumb method. I have to do a knitted cast on or it just snaps straight away. Even though, oh yeah, look, it's not really that strong when it's like that, but when it's knitted it's really strong and lovely because the fibres kind of glue together as it's felt slightly. Yeah, little bits of vegetable matter that have come all the way from Iceland. It's like a little gift from the countryside. Thanks Iceland, I love you. There you go. Blue Fibre on Instagram recommended the, oh, what's it called? I'll edit this and come back later. Oh yeah, Knitlandia book. So I've had that on Audible, and there's a lovely bit where she goes to the, I think she goes to the Lopi factory in Iceland, and it's excellent. It's really worth a read. Not that I read it, I listened to it, but it's because I can only listen when I'm sewing. If I was to sit down to try and read a book, I would be asleep in seconds. It just doesn't work. This is why the kids probably don't like to read that much. I just don't ever do it. Too much other stuff going on, and listening is great because as well, I'm listening to Ken Follett at the minute. Columns of Fire, I think it's his new one, which is the third part of a trilogy that he started forever ago. But a lot of it is kind of hard work, and I think if I was reading it on the page I would just be like, what? No. But if you get to a bit like that and you're listening to it on Audible, you can kind of switch off and you still know what's going on because you don't miss out on that much. I'm faffing. So this, I showed you last week, this is the Kate Davies vest that I was making for my dad that I knew would be too small. So this was my first major foray into colourwork, and I have learned so much. Hang on. I have learned so much from doing this. Some good, some bad, but it's all learning, isn't it, at the end of the day? So I've discovered that when knitting colourwork on small needles, my gauge is tight, so I have to do a gauge swatch. Everything that I make, I will swatch from now on. I was very naughty. I think I did do one for this actually, but I obviously didn't make it big enough. I even went up a needle size and it's still small. Number 2, I will never try to knit anything colourwork for my dad because he likes it long enough to cover his bum. And although he's quite a short man, I don't want to do that because it would just be like, it would look ridiculous, like a huge big long tube. Fair enough if it was Aran weight, but not when you're doing it in 4-ply or finger weight yarn. Thirdly, wool, like I was saying about the Lopi, when you wash it, it really does get soft. So this, as I was knitting it, was very stiff. As soon as I've washed it and blocked it, it's really soft and really floppy, which makes it bigger. Yeah, so gauge, swatch, block, wash and block, just to see what your yarn's going to do if you haven't used it before. Also, I've watched a very interesting YouTube clip from Arnie and Carlos about the kind of yarn that you should use when you are doing colourwork, and I'll put an insert in here with the link to that because it's really, really useful. And for this I used superwash merino and a bit of West Yorkshire spinners throughout, and you can see the gaps? You can see the gaps, you can see the stitches. It's not good really. You need that pure wool or a blend that's got, come here, not superwash. Superwash is quite slippy, the stickiness is taken out of it. Pure wool is so much better because the fibres will cling, it will felt ever so slightly, and your colours just kind of blend into one. Not immediately, but over time. I've seen other people's work and it just looks so much better. So massive learning curve, but that's okay because I can wear it kind of as a cowl. Before I washed it, when I put it on as a cowl, it was fine, but now that I've washed it, it just feels really big and gangly, but there ain't no going back. So yeah, it's still quite pretty, isn't it? I could make it into like a long cushion and give it to my friend for Christmas if I just stuffed it. Ah, oh, Christmas sorted. There you go, Emma. Us crafters, like I said last time, we're very good at just doing stuff, aren't we? Can't remember the word. I started that sentence and I should have known not to because I can't finish it. And when I'm showing you the Kate Davies cowl vest that I've made, I've had a message from my mama who says that she's going to do a knitting course. in a bit to learn how to do the Boyland, the Sunset Highway sweater, and she's a bit nervous. And I think everybody's got to start somewhere. Even if you're proficient at knitting something, it doesn't mean you're going to be proficient at knitting something else. So it's worth just having a try, isn't it? And just see how you get on. I mean, if you make a mistake, at least you can pull it out and do it again. And eventually, I mean, your fingers might bleed and you might be banging your head off the table, but eventually you will be able to do it. But there's my friend Lucy, who owns Locket. Oh, I need a drink. My tongue's sticking to the top of my mouth. Lucy Locket Land in Seaburn. She has got these fab packs. Before she stocked Jameson Smith yarn, which is fab to have somebody pretty local that stocks their yarn, she could buy it and put it into mini skeins, into packs. So before she was a stockist, she did some packs of hot water bottle covers, and I know she's still got some in store and she sells online, and they're fabulous. I'll put the details in so that you can see where she is. And basically, because you're just knitting a square to cover a hot water bottle, excuse me, there's very little shaping apart from at the top, obviously, where the top of the bottle is going to come out of. So you're just knitting in the round in Colorwork, in patterns that Lucy's designed, which are really simple and really easy, but really do help you get used to the yarn, get used to the gauge, and get used to the needles and how to hold your needles in different ways. You can experiment with them, and they're such a good starter pack if you're really interested in Colorwork. So I would heartily recommend having a go. And to do that and then to move on to a garment, you're not going to make the mistakes that I did. You're going to be there, you're going to be ready, because you've made something easy. For me, I hate knitting gauge swatches because they're not something that I can practically use. They take ages. But if I'd realised that maybe I just needed to knit a hot water bottle cover with some lovely yarn before actually kind of jumping into a vest for another person, then I think life would have just, you know, it would have just been a bit better. The conclusion would have been a bit better. Not that I'm particularly depressed about this, you know, there's bigger fish to fry than knitting a cowl instead of a vest. It ain't really an issue, but still, it's nice to have something to have a go at, isn't it? I'm just having a look at my notes to see what else that she said about her packs, because they are lovely. Yes, and again, back to Arnie and Carlos about using the right yarn for your project. The stuff that Lucy puts in her packs is the Jameson & Smith Pure Shetland 100% wool, and it's lovely. It's in either Spindrift or the 2-ply jumper weight, which are both basically the same. They get this very similar write-up when you look at them online, and it's perfect for Colorwork. So it's a great introduction to the kind of yarn that you need if you want to do a bigger project, and also to see if you can hack it, because if you're totally fed up by the time you've done a hot water bottle cover, maybe knitting a stranded Colorwork Fair cardigan isn't exactly for you. Yeah, so there you go. It's lovely sticky wool and it works brilliantly. Let me see. Oh yeah, she's also got some fingerless glove kits, which again are good because you're knitting in the round on a smaller circumference, so that'll show you what it's going to be like if you're going to be knitting sleeves. You know, it's all good practice, and they're small, practical, portable projects, and it's not difficult. You've just got to get used to holding your yarn. I do two-handed Colorwork, because although that didn't work out the way that I wanted to, I still think I'm okay at doing Colorwork. I don't have any problems with it. I can get the tension how I want it to be. I just need to adjust my needle size to compensate for the fact that tension is tighter when I do the Colorwork. Gauge swatch. So I have one yarn on this finger, one yarn on this finger, and Fair Isle is only 2 colours per row. And sometimes in patterns you do get 3 colours per row, which isn't traditional Fair Isle, but it does exist. And it's lovely. But then I'll have 2 yarns in this hand and just 1 yarn in this hand, and it takes a little bit longer, but it's really nice, especially with the finer yarn, because you get all of the detail. I feel like I'm really blathering on here, aren't I? And also what she's got are these fab little Sven dolls. I'm going to put this all in a link, and then you can go and have a look at our shop and have a gander and see what you think. Which again are all knitted in the round, but it's an excellent introduction to Colorwork and to the yarn. And I must go to Lucy Locket Land with my camera because it is utterly gorgeous. It's like a kitsch heaven. It's my personal paradise. She's got really old 1950s furniture that she's painted like bright blue, which has got really colourful, lovely mock crochet tablecloths and vintage chairs and little bits and pieces and teapots everywhere. It's really, really nice. Totally up my alley. Love it. So I do have plans for knitting. as per always, I've put a yarn order in for this beauty, which is Birkin. I danced long into the night with my long curly hair swinging to the rhythm of my steps. On my head I wore a crown made of wild flowers picked from the meadow just behind our house. Caitlin Hunter's Birkin sweater takes me back to those carefree summer nights of my youth. So it's another Boylan Knitworks Caitlin Hunter. I wasn't sure. I'm going to have like a proper collection. My home, my knitwear will be like a Caitlin Hunter museum in years to come. There you go. You see? I love Laine because it puts the pattern photographs and the patterns on separate pages, which means that I can show you the pattern without giving away any of the magical mystery of the pattern. I've chosen different colours, but not too different. I've gone for a higher contrast. I've gone for still like an orty colour for the body, and then I've still gone for like quite a lighter yellow colour here, because I feel like it's got a lot of contrast that kind of blends in and out from the top and then is sharp again in the middle. And I've still gone for the same overall look, but I've used different colours, and I haven't used the yarn that she's suggested in here. I can't remember what it is. I don't know if it's Jameson and Smith, but I've gone for Holtz Garn instead. So I'm going to have to be really careful when I do my gauge swatch, because I think, hang on, let's have a look. Oh, she's used Loft by Brooklyn Tweed. 251 metres to 50 grams or other fingering weight yarn. So I've checked the meterage just to see what the meterage is like, and I think you get more on the Holtz Garn, so it is going to be finer. So well, it will be, won't it? So I'll have to do a proper gauge swatch with that and wash it and fluff it and see what happens. So I'm really excited. I know somebody else ordered some. I've bought it directly from Finland because it's cheaper, and I figure, well, even if I buy it in the UK, it's already done the air miles because it's in the UK, so I don't need to feel too guilty about shipping stuff in. I think it was something like $3.50 for 100 grams, which is what, £2.70, and then $10 postage, which is about £7 or something like that. So yeah, I can do it for less than £30, and that includes the postage. So rock on, Tommy. I'm pleased with that. So I'm really looking forward to giving it a go. I think it'll be a different challenge again, doing the colour work in a finer yarn. It's going to be more like the Kate Davies kind of challenge, but I love the way that when you use a finer yarn, you obviously get finer details. And I'm looking forward to doing the colour work in the pure wool with no added extras. I think it's going to be really good fun, so long as the Felted Object of the Week beast doesn't stick it in the washing machine. Oh, yeah, I'll hang him on the line. I tell you, I need to think of suitable punishments, don't I? My friend Saran was saying that one year her husband put 3 things in the washer at once. There was a great long cabled cardigan. She only uses good stuff as well. Great big long cabled cardigan, felted. Another cardigan, felted, and a knitted vest, felted. And he put them on the line to try and dry them and said, can you not just stretch them out? No, it doesn't work like that. Stay away from the woolens. Yeah, maybe you're thinking I should just do the washing myself, but why? You should just do it right. It's not even on the table for a debate. And something else I'm interested in knitting but not 100% committed to, because I kind of love it, but I don't know if I love it enough. I bought this at Woolfest, North Sea Collection 8 by Marie Wallin, who I think is the most amazing designer, and she's a lovely lady, and I love the way that she goes to the shows herself and just has all of her stuff there that she's knitted. I hate the way that her sizes are so small, however the work that she does is beautiful, and I have, like I say, 3 kids, so there's always somebody I can stick it on. I fancy doing this. Can you see? I hope you can. It's got colour work and cable, so that'll be nice. Not in those colours though. I like brights. Yeah, it's a beautiful book. It's well worth having a look at. I think she was the head designer for Rowan for a while, and oh, she's just fabulous. Ridiculously talented. I mean, come on. But then I guess she's got access to all of the beautiful yarns, so she can make stuff. She's got all of the colour swatches. She's got the colours beside her. She knows exactly what can go with what because she can touch it and see it. It's got to make your life a bit easier, hasn't it, really? Still, if you didn't have the idea in the first place, you wouldn't be able to do it. So, new to me, I was so excited for this to arrive, is Shetland, and again it's by Marie Wallin. And the patterns that she's designed in here, she's knitted with Jameson and Smith Spindrift, which is a 2-ply light fingering weight yarn. And I really want to make this. and I want to make it in the largest size that is here, in the vague hope that it will fit me like in a few months time, but we'll see. I might have to make it longer because short stuff like that, I'm 5'10", so I think that I will have to adjust the length, but we'll see. This book is just utterly beautiful. I'm so excited by it. It's just glorious. You could spend a fortune on all of the yarn, and she, like I say, she uses the spindrift, so it's a step away from the Rowan felted tweed or the Rowan tweed, which is quite interesting. Yeah, but to try, it's 25 grams if the spindrift is about £3.25, and then you've got your postage. If I was knitting it exclusively for me, I think that would be fine because I know that I would wear it, but when I'm always knitting for other people, I don't know if I want to spend £70 on a jumper for a child. It's just not, it's not worth it. I mean, it's worth it in terms of all of the work that I'm going to put into knitting it, but it's a heck of a lot of money, particularly as they grow and it's not going to last them forever. And I'm not hand knitted objects because they will end up in the washing machine, and I don't know anybody knit worthy enough to have a pure wool Colorwork sweater given to them. I just don't. So we'll see. I'm going to again have a swatch and have a play with the Holtz Garn. I've never had it before, so I don't really know what it's like, and see how I get on with that. And other than that, I was just wanting to talk a little bit about sewing. You might notice the one at the ladies behind me has had a quick change. She's like that. She's wearing a Cleo dress, which I made using, I'll just find my notes, excuse me, using a pattern, funnily enough, Tilly and the Buttons, and it's absolutely lovely. I bought the PDF version, downloaded it, printed it out, and it just went together, no problem. You can see it's a lovely shape. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it to focus on it. Hang on, let's have a go at this. Ta-da! Oh god, you just got my big head in the view, haven't you? It's a lovely shape. It's got a pocket at the front, and I've made this in a denim, but it was kind of a stretch denim, but it works really well. The little buttons at the top are lovely, and I've put some pockets here as well that you can't see. Hang on. This isn't going incredibly well, is it? But it was so fun to sew, and it really didn't take very long. Let's just sort this out, Faye. Come on, get back, get back. There. Yeah. Ooh, hello. Yeah. So Tilly and the Buttons Cleo, really easy. Buy it, make it. Don't be frightened. It's great. It's good for beginners because the instructions are so clear, and I think with these independent designers, there's such a good support network online because people are really loyal to the designers. They love making their stuff, so if they discuss it, they talk about it, and they get excited. So you are never alone. Reach out. There'll be somebody there to help you. Well worth doing it. I really, really enjoyed it. I wish I still had the pattern to show you, but I haven't, so I'll drop in here an insert from their website. And the top that I wear, I was going to say I am wearing, but it's actually just the top that I wear, isn't it? Because I seem to always have it on, is this. It's a bird style pattern. It's being totally blown out by the flash. I've got it in size 20 to 34, just to make sure it was going to fit. Yeah, I had to do loads of modifications. It's a bit of a nightmare. I can't help but think that when they do patterns, mass produce big company patterns like this, I can't help but think that they just kind of size up using mathematics instead of bodies, or they have a random tailor's block that they use that doesn't really represent actual humans. You can even see on this pattern on the front here how they're facing. It's like an external face and it's kind of sticking up. Well, the neckline was horrible, so I've completely modified this. I had to raise the neckline loads and put kind of a bias binding around it because I wasn't happy with it at all. The rest's fine, the pleats are fine, the sleeves are fine. I had to put a pleat in the back to try and make the whole thing higher. So it says that it's for, I think it's meant to be an easy pattern, but honestly I think if you want to make this so that it fits, you need to know what you're doing, and you need to have a bit of experience at handling the fabric and manipulating the fabric just to make it work. So that's Birdie Style 6550. If you can sew, you can sew it. if you've never done anything before, you need to start with something new, otherwise you're going to be dissatisfied and you're going to think that you've made a mess, when in fact the pattern just isn't very good for the bigger figure. Might be fine for little ladies, but you know, there's plenty of choice out there for people who fit into kind of mainstream garments, so it probably will be fine because they'll have plenty of bodies to try it on, but they just don't put the effort in, and yet they still sell the patterns supposedly for bigger bodies. Anyway, other than that, I've got this one by Bushwick by Connie Crawford. It's a wrap dress. I haven't made it yet, but I have cut it out, and it's meant to be very easy, but I did find the pattern quite challenging because there were so many size options. It's one of these ones where you can kind of grade it so you can make it bigger or smaller in certain areas, and I found it quite tricky, but I think that just with a bit more time and a bit more reading, that would actually be really nice. And I love that they go up to really large sizes. It doesn't say, or does it say? So this will go up to a 66 to 68 inch bust from a 34 to 35 inch bust. So really, you know, you're getting a lot in your packet basically. So depending on your size and your shape, you can manipulate the pattern. I just need more practice with that, because I've made baby carries for 8 years. I could do them in my sleep and they're beautiful, but when it comes to anything else, it's still like learning from scratch. Obviously I know how to use the sewing machine, I know how to handle fabric, and I understand about pattern placement and facings and how different fabric can move in different ways, but it doesn't mean that I know how to use a pattern. So it's still kind of back to basics every time I try to do something new, and that's fine. Sometimes I can be bothered with it, sometimes I'm just like, oh, get me out of here. But yeah, I've done 2 of these birder ones, so I must have enjoyed it somewhere. And then I've also got this one that I want to try, which is an emery pattern by Christine Hayes, and it's like a 60s style dress, and I just think it's lovely. And I got this in size 0 to 18. It goes up to a 45 inch bust from a 31 inch bust, 47 inch hips from 33 inch hips, and I think that's lovely. I can't wait to give that a try. That'll be for my friend Emma, or I might do one for Sylvie because she looked really nice in that, because she started to, you know, she's got a figure now, so I can dress her in stuff that I would actually like to wear, living vicariously through my child. Sorry, it's gonna happen. Yeah, so that's quite exciting. It's just cute, isn't it? And I love the pattern, and when the pattern comes, it's printed on really nice white paper. It's just lovely. The whole thing about it is lovely. And I'm presuming Christine Haynes is another independent designer, because it doesn't have anything else on the back other than christinehaynes.com. And I know she's got a good internet presence, but I think that it's just fab. The design's lovely, the instructions are great. You get a little thing here for difficulty. You've got 3 little bobbins to show you how easy it's going to be. Yeah, it's lovely. Really, really nice. I think it's really exciting that so many things are coming out at the minute. And another independent designer that I really like, who does design clothing but who I prefer for accessories, I haven't made any of her clothes, is Anna Graham of Noodlehead. Now I've made loads of her stuff. This is a pattern for the Gather crossbody bag, and I think this is a free pattern, so it's worth having a bit of a Google, but I'll put the details in like I normally do. Oh yeah, I think she designed it specifically for the Robert Kaufman fabric, so it's a free pattern because I guess it's meant to encourage you to buy his fabric. But I've made a few of these, and this one is the only one I could find, and I haven't put the flap down properly, and it doesn't have a strap on yet. This fabric is by a baby wearing company called Osha, who are very popular. And this is just a woven fabric. It's called a 5-point satin sateen, which is quite a dense weave, which means it's good for applications other than just wrapping around you and your baby. It's soft, but it's also quite practical, so you could use it for cushion covers and things, and I love the pattern. So the crossbody bag, you've got your flap on the front, a lovely pocket with a magnetic fastener, and then the inside you could probably put a pocket in there as well, and you can put a long strap on it. And I love Anna Graham's patterns because they are really adaptable, and she teaches you the way to do things properly. So there's a lovely pattern called, it's a tote bag, and it's quite a big bag, and it takes a long time to make. It's not like something that you would just stick a couple of straps on and then go to the shops with. It's really properly constructed. She uses pellin in the base that gives it good structure on the bottom. Everything's interfaced and lined, and she shows you how to do the invisible zippers, to put a sunken zip into your bags. excellent. And again, as an independent designer, she's got a really loyal following, so there's loads of support out there if you need any help with anything that she's doing. It's fantastic. I love her stuff. I could make all of it if I had the time. But next on the cards for me is probably going to be another one of these. Even though I've just been slagging off the pattern, I still think it's worth it for me because I now know what I need to do with it to make it better. And I've just got a thing at the minute for vintage fabric that was once curtains. So I'm going to use this. I can't really show you the pattern because the pattern repeat is huge. But I think if I get the placement right, and if I get the lines going in the right direction, and I can put everything where I want it to go, and if I can get the pattern right down the sleeves, I think that would be great. I might never wear it out the house, but at least I'll have it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I really would like to have a go at making the Upton dress, which is another cashmerette pattern. Oh, I haven't mentioned I've got the Lennox dress by Cashmerette, which I'm struggling with a little bit because there's lots of bits involved in it. And I've just been delusional about the size of my bust. So instead of measuring for my actual size, I've thought if I did a bigger cup size, then it would fit me better at the back. Doesn't work like that for you because you haven't got boobs on your back. So I need to go back and start again. And I bought the PDF download, and it's like 55 pages of pattern that you have to print out and then sellotape together, which was alright. I just sat in front of the window in the shed and got on with it. Left Mark with the kids. It was like a day off, really. Can't complain. But I'm going to have to go back and do it again because I have printed off the wrong size bust. But you live and learn, don't you? Not the end of the world. I have downloaded the Cashmerette Lennox pattern, which was 54 pages to print off and stick together. Paper pattern next time, I think maybe I will do that. But I was a bit delusional and I thought my ladies were bigger than they are, so I've printed off a pattern with really quite ample breast cups and I don't need that. I thought that if I did the bigger bust, then it would fit more across my back, but obviously that doesn't work because I haven't got boobs on my back that I know of. Unless I've got some sneaky ones on there that nobody's ever told me about. Yeah, so I love it. I love the dress when I see it on other people. I haven't yet put it together because I have to print it out again. And the only barrier between me actually making the dress and making the dress, where am I going with that, is printing it out again. So maybe I should get it on the boil. But you know what, in this house we've never got any paper because the kids nick it. As soon as it comes in, Bea kind of squirrels it away into our bedroom, and then when I go up at night to say come on, get to bed, it's midnight and you're still faffing, I'll pull the quilt back and it'll just be basically a full A4 pack of paper with covered in drawings and stories. She's like a machine. She's like a machine. The Cashmerette patterns are, they go from a size 12 to 28, but that's American sizes. So in the UK, that's the equivalent of a size something to a size 30. So you get a really good size range and you can adapt them easily. It's not tricky. You can do all sorts of things to them. And like I said, with them being independent designers, they've got an excellent loyal following. So if you get stuck, there's plenty of information and lots of people who are willing to help you out. So it's worth getting involved with some of the groups, I think, if you're going to do it. And there's a lovely Facebook group that I like called the Curvy Sewing Collective, and it's not just for bountiful women like me, it's for anybody who, you know, I know from my own experience of when I was slim, if I went into a shop to buy clothes, just because it looked good on the hanger didn't mean that it would suit my body. And if I'd had the opportunity to make my own, which I did, I just didn't do it because I thought I'd be able to buy them in the shops, but I was still disappointed. It doesn't necessarily mean that it fits your body shape. So this Curvy Sewing Collective is great because it tells you how you can make things and how you can adapt them just to fit you. Not necessarily as a curvy woman, just as a woman who has a shape that isn't what it has to, that doesn't tick the boxes that the fashion industry dictate. And all of those boxes seem to differ from shop to shop anyway, you know. Just because you buy a size pair 12 trousers and Next, it doesn't mean you can buy them in Gap. They're totally different. It's also different. Yeah, so I want to make the Cashmerette Upton dress, and this is what one of the designers said on the website, and I love it. As I've learned over the past 5 years, women of all shapes and sizes can feel fabulous when they wear gorgeous and well-fitting clothes, but until now there's been a really limited selection of sewing patterns available if you're curvy. That is so true. Or they say they go up to like 26XL, and actually it's like a size 16, which just boils my wee. That's crazy given that 70% of American women are a size 12 or bigger, which is a size 14 UK, and the average cup size a double D. Crazy, isn't it? Your dress size doesn't limit your creativity, so why should it limit your wardrobe? So if you've got the confidence to wear clothes that you've made yourself, and if you've got the confidence to go out there and not just to wear black sacks all of the time, which is what the shops want us to wear because we're meant to be invisible if we're not tiny, then you know, take the space that is your body, use it, be radical and wear lush stuff. Because let's face it, if you're above a certain size, anything you do with your body is a radical act, so bring it on. Right, I think that's it, apart from general chatter. And as for general chatter, well, dear me, it's been a bit of a week. Had parents' evening on Tuesday night, which was alright. Nothing unexpected there. And then yesterday, I told you last week, I'd found a lump in one of my ladies and I went to the doctors and I've been referred to the breast clinic at our local hospital, University Hospital of North Down. So I went in yesterday and I was quite convinced that when I went in there, they'd be like, no, it's fine, it's a cyst or it's this fat necrosis stuff that Dr. Google had told me all about. Actually, it's not. So I had a mammogram, which was fine. That I didn't feel a thing. I thought it was going to be uncomfortable. It was absolutely great. Then it was like boof, boof, boof. Mammogram, sonogram, doctor. It was a very well oiled machine. It was, everybody was lovely. It was great. So after the mammogram, went straight into for a sonogram, and when he was doing that, he didn't like what he saw, so decided to do what I believe was a core biopsy with a local anaesthetic. Wow, that local anaesthetic is amazing. I didn't feel a thing. I've got a gripping bruise today, but I felt nothing. Just felt this really weird like click as he was taking the bits out. So that's gone away to the lab. It'll take 48 hours for them to look at that, and unfortunately that means that it won't be ready for the MDT, which is this afternoon. So they're going to have to, no, Wednesday afternoon, so they're going to have to do that next week. So I'm back at hospital to see the breast consultant or whatever his title is on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. So hopefully it's good news. From what I've read and what I understand about what he said, it's generally benign if you have one of these lumps. However, I've got a lot of them that you can't see and you can't feel, but they're definitely there. So yeah, it is what it is. We'll just see what they come back with, and hopefully it's nothing. And if it's something, then I think we're really lucky to live where that we do, that we've got the NHS and that we've got things that can help. So fingers crossed, eh ladies? Bring it on. Get your BAPS checked. Don't leave it till the last minute. Right, and I think that's it. I'm going to go off and lubricate my mouth because it feels a bit like a flip-flop in the desert. Right, toodaloo.